What's up everyone, it's Alex here at Conscious Personal Growth, and I'm outside a shop called Back in Action in Bristol, England, which helps people out with their back pain by selling ergonomic furniture and shoes and backpacks and all sorts. But if you've kept your ear to the grapevine and heard about some of Bristol's best kept secrets, you might have heard that inside this place, underground, they have a flotation centre with 2 awesome flotation tanks, and I have a session booked for 3 p.m, so let's go inside. The great thing about this place is that we're actually underground. There's a few flotation tanks dotted around England, but some of them are above ground, which means even if you have earplugs in, you still have the chance of hearing like the birds or the traffic. But in this place, earplugs or no earplugs, once you're in the tank, it's dead silent, and that's what we want. After all, it's supposed to be sensory deprivation, right? The flotation tank was invented by neuroscientist and psychonaut John Lilly back in the 1950s, who was also known for his infamous attempts at communicating with dolphins and other pretty far out explorations into human consciousness. But aside from taking LSD and talking to sea mammals, Lilly and his team were developing ways which to study the origins of consciousness by cutting off all external stimuli, and the isolation tank was born. In some of the early designs, the floatee, as we might call them, would be completely submerged in water with a breathing mask on and like a tube coming off of it. But luckily, they found out that none of that is needed, and today's flotation tank designs are super simple to get in and out of. And as scary as they might sound to the uninitiated, spending time in a flotation tank isn't as intimidating as you might first think. In fact, many people use them as a tool for deep relaxation or to get into deep meditative states. And flotation therapy has a long list of benefits, including pain relief, stress reduction, reduced anxiety, and even improved sleep. To put it simply, once the lights are out and you're floating in nothingness, flotation can be a very, very relaxing experience. Now, they actually have 2 tanks here. One is called the pod, and it's the type of design that you've probably seen before when looking at flotation tanks online. It's mainly made of fiberglass, and the lid comes down so you're floating in this sealed and snug flotation pod. But they actually have another one here behind me called the cabin, and the great thing about it is you can fit 2 people in it, so if your partner and you want to float together, it's possible. But it's also great for tall people like me because there's ample room to drift about. And I must admit, when I first came here, I kind of chose the pod because I had this idea that the cabin would be somehow different. It wouldn't be so like sensory depriving or something. But after I tried it and the lights went off, I discovered it's pretty much exactly the same experience as floating in the pod. So I'm almost ready for my float session, and I'm really excited because I haven't done this for a good few months. Over the course of living in Bristol for the last 10 years, I floated here probably in excess of like 50 or 60 times, so I know what to expect, but today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I've been practicing a lot of visualization recently just before bed, which is an amazing tool for bringing more of what you want into your life. And I've done a video on that recently on exactly how to do it, which I'll leave a link to in the description below so you can check that out after this video. But the basic principle is you're using your imagination to visualize your compelling future. And it works the most powerfully when you're in deeply relaxed or deeply meditative states of mind. And that's why one of the most powerful times to visualize is in bed just as you drift off to sleep. But in about 45 minutes, I'm hoping to take visualization to the next level because as you're laying there floating, your mind activity gradually slows down as you sink into the nothingness and you get really, really relaxed. In fact, after some time, you can get to some very deep levels of consciousness, and it's then that I want to experiment with visualization. I'm hoping that whilst my mind is completely clear and I'm in a very deep level of consciousness, there's going to be this huge mental space in the theatre of my mind where I'm able to go really deep with it. No other external stimuli, no distractions. I'm looking forward to this. Let's go. So it's been a couple of days since my float tank session now, and I thought I'd give you the lowdown on what went on. So when you first get into that cabin, you're going to lie down in the water and you're going to obviously start floating, because there's about 850 pounds of Epsom salt in the water. So you want to make sure you have a good shower when you get out, otherwise you're just going to be absolutely covered in salt when the water dries off you. But anyway, you start floating and then you have to wait for a couple of minutes for the lights to go out. And whilst you're waiting, obviously because you've lied down and there's been some movement there's movement in the water and you're kind of bobbing around a bit. So you want to keep still so that eventually the water settles and your movement settles, because the fact that there's no movement and the fact that the water temperature and the ambient temperature is the same as your body temperature, and the fact that there's absolutely no light and it's underground and you can't hear anything, all combines together to make it completely sensory depriving. So the most prominent sensation for me is my breathing, and that's what I started off doing, is just breathing nice and gently. And towards the beginning, obviously I'm noticing that there's a lot more mind activity there. So when I say mind activity, I mean thoughts and images and perhaps some feelings coming up. And then I'm just observing that, and over time, towards the kind of half an hour mark, maybe 45-minute mark, I'm expecting it to completely wind down. So it's almost like, for me, it's almost like I get these moments where I'm kind of getting more and more deeply relaxed. And it's almost as if I drift into kind of like a little micro sleep or something, where suddenly there's this like doo sensation where I've been kind of lost in some kind of thought, and then suddenly there's this kind of switch and it's like I've dropped down a level and it's a lot quieter. And so I was basically waiting, kind of expecting about half an hour of time to go by before it started to get really quiet in my mind, and then start visualizing my future. So in my visualizations at the moment, I'm visualizing my business going forward. So I'm thinking about clients writing really nice emails to me, thanking me for helping them. I'm thinking about the subscribership on the YouTube channel going up and me making better quality videos, and most importantly, trying to tap into the feeling of what it would feel like to make even better quality content that delivers more value, being able to help more people and the nice feeling that comes with that. And also I got some visualizations around kind of manifesting a life partner, a new relationship. So thinking about the qualities that she might have, imagining ourselves being together, some of the things we might do. And yeah, whilst I was doing that visualization in that very wide space that's kind of opened up after floating for a while, I noticed that I could keep the visualizations a lot more consistent. So if I'm doing them just before bed, and I might have just stopped working on a project, for example, and then I guess the mind activity is still racing a little bit and it takes a while to calm down. So I'm doing my visualizations and then maybe I'm kind of getting a bit distracted by other things, but in the float tank that was happening a lot less, so I could make the visualizations a lot more vivid and a lot richer. Now, has it influenced my subconscious mind in some kind of super powerful way? I don't know. This is all experimentation, but it was certainly a fun process, and it'd be interesting to see what happens in the weeks that go by. I've got a lot of drive and determination for what I want to create in my life anyway, but anything that helps is a good thing. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video anyway. And I've done a video on visualization, like I mentioned earlier, which will come up on the end screen. And I tell you there exactly how to do it in a nice and simple and easy to understand and apply way. So check that out. And if you liked this video, give it a like. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more videos on conscious personal growth.